As I have said once already, but I repeat, the picture which has emerged and which is described in my report is profoundly disturbing. In summary, what does that picture reveal? Many thousands of people have suffered serious financial detriment, and for a sizable proportion, that detriment subsists. Many people have, inevitably, suffered emotional turmoil and significant stress in consequence. Many businesses and homes have been lost. Bankruptcies have occurred. Marriage and families have been wrecked. Between 2000 and 2013 in England and Wales, and for some time after 2013 in Northern Ireland and Scotland, postmasters and others suffered the trauma of criminal prosecution, conviction, and punishment. And for some, punishment meant lengthy periods of imprisonment. I received reports that some people held liable for shortfalls became ill as a consequence. Tragically, I heard too of people of whom it is said that they were driven to take their own lives. Those in my legal team who assist me to keep track of recent events have discovered that HSS had received a total of 887 eligible claims by early June. There had been 7,188 offers and 6,426 acceptances. There are still more than 3,000 claims to resolve, and the likelihood is that there are approximately 1,500 complex and standard claims which are either in the process of assessment or waiting for the process to begin. In my view, if HSS is closed, as I recommend it should be, on the 27th of November of this year, a number of years would still be necessary to deal with all the claims which would be unresolved on that date. On any view, there have been egregious delays in HSS, for which the Post Office and the Department have frequently apologized.
Well, it's the beginning of the end of the inquiry, I guess. But I think the awful thing is 5 years into the inquiry, so Wyn has asked for the department to define full and fair. You know, I mean, they really should know what full and fair settlements meant to people. You know, I understand what's fair, but clearly they don't. Yeah, well, it's really important. It's laid before Parliament as well, which is really significant, and it shows the full scale of the horror that they unleashed on us. You know, we were just decent people trying to do a day's work for our community. I mean, in all honesty, I haven't had a really good chance to read into everything in depth. I flicked through it, but I think there's some important stuff in there. I just need to read it a bit more. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the police are working on it, and it will go to the CPS to see how far up the food chain it goes. But he did put in his report there were some senior people and not so senior people that knew or should have known about the bugs in Horizon, and they just continued to parrot the party line of it's robust and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it'd be nice if that could be implemented immediately, to be honest, but yeah, I think that's necessary. The government shouldn't be anywhere near this because they actually owned the post office, which perpetrated the crime. So, you know, and they must have been aware what was going on. So, you know, I think they should be taken out of it altogether. I have this sneaky feeling that this will run right through next year because that's the way things are. But I really hope not, because so many people are dying. You know, we've lost, I think 350 is the number, and 100 of the GLO group aren't here anymore, and there's still 138 of them to be paid, which I just find incredible. You know, if they pay for claims to be worked out, and then they slash them down to, like, I think the lowest is 0.5% of what's sent back to them. You know, and then you've got to fight your corner for the next couple of years. That should never be happening.
At the moment I'm feeling quite emotional because obviously it's bringing back memories of what I've read in the book. I've not read it all because obviously it was bringing too much back in the memory wise, and David Enright had come over and gave me a cuddle and tell me stop reading it and get it later on if you want to. So there is other stories in there that's really worse than mine, don't get me wrong, but it's heartbreaking for it to come to this length instead of just waking up and just look, sort it out for us, but it's going to drag on right until March next year. So, yeah, because, well, obviously it's speaking about my mum. In the report, my mum worked with the post office for 30 years, never had one hiccup. I take it over from her, and don't get me wrong, we fell out over it for the simple reason being my mum was old school. That's the ledger there. What's in the ledger is in this post office, but when you go to put it in their computer, it's no tying in. So my mum and I had words, and we didn't speak for near enough a year through this, and obviously it's worked out that I've not been the bad one. The computer's been the bad one, and it's gave me a bit heartbreak because I should have listened to my mum for day one, but obviously I didn't. What actually happened, my mum, she ended up being a recluse. She kept herself in the four walls. So I had my sons and my wife and that going along to the house to virtually see she's okay, getting shopping and whatnot. And I can remember the week before she died, on the Wednesday, I was in the house with my brother, and my mum said to me, "You're not going away?" I said, "Yes." And then on the Sunday morning, I found my mum dead. So it's, I don't know if my mum knew something was happening or what, but these things never leave your memory, and I blame myself because we're falling out with the post office, because of the post office. My mum kept herself in the house because obviously people were talking, not face to face there, but we're talking behind her back. Well, there's her son stole from the post office. But none of the people that had not accused my mum, but accused me of stealing, some of them not even come forward yet and apologised. So I don't know how they're feeling, maybe guilt, I don't know, but the bottom line is if I can get a victory over this for compensation wise, for people that's out there that hasn't had a penny yet, and get them as much as we possibly can, then hopefully my mum's up there and she'll be smiling on me and saying well done. Yes, the only problem I see is I don't know why we're not taking on Fujitsu. Why is Sir Wyn not taking on Fujitsu? Because at the end of the day, it's them that's brought this crisis to us. It's them that's given all our heartbreak. So personally speaking, I think Sir Wyn should start chasing Fujitsu, because at the moment they've got away scot-free, and every other one of us we're paying the price for it. The post office knew for day one that there was a problem with bugs and whatnot in that computer. So why has there no one come forward and said, right, stop this, stop Fujitsu, let's get round the table here, see what the problem is. Sorry to say the name, but Venables, she knew about it. Is she suffering what I've been suffering? I don't think so. And as I said previous, I would love an MP to come forward who's had a post office and is going through what we're going through, and I've never met one yet, but they're all sit back and accepting whatever story we're putting out there. Really, I'm hoping that whatever Sir Wyn brings out today, the government will listen and the thing moves forward. But if the government doesn't listen, where do we go from here? We might be still dragging our heels in 10 years' time, where people are not going to see any of this money at all, because the bottom line is they're either ill or their family can't be bothered to fight for it because there's too much hassle to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've read quite a chunk of the report already in the hours that we had in the lock-in period, and obviously listened to Sir Wyn Williams' statement on the report. And like I said, it is very damning of the government, that this delay has been unconscionable. it hasn't needed to be this way. There was no need for there to be so many schemes. As they've now decided to merge some of the schemes together, they could have done this in the meantime. And a lot of the recommendations that he's making are things that myself and many other claimants have been making to the government and making to the post office for a number of years, and they've just failed to implement them. It's a huge thing, isn't it? Obviously, we've campaigned so hard on behalf of not just myself, but obviously many other people. Many people are sadly not with us now. And, to get to this stage now where obviously that report has been made public, back in the public limelight, I'm hoping that obviously we just have to now see whether the government's going to accept the recommendations, and this is one of the problems that I find with public inquiries or the Business and Trade Committee or the Public Accounts Committee. They look at the evidence, they make many recommendations, but unfortunately because it's not mandatory on the government to accept them, they can choose not to. You saw the Business and Trade Committee report last year, the government accepted only 3 of 17 recommendations. We're going to have to see, like Sir Wyn Williams says, whether the government chooses to accept or not accept these recommendations, and that is a huge problem. I think Sir Wyn Williams has done he's had to look at millions of documents, he's listened to a lot of testimony, a lot of evidence and stuff, and like he said, he's been taking evidence even very recently. I've wrote several letters to Sir Wyn Williams in the last few months even, talking about the actual individual complexities of the schemes where there's problems that have arisen, and he's addressed those in the recommendations. Like I said, it's a great day for everybody being here, listening to it, and obviously being vindicated in what we've always been saying. The problem is will it be acted upon? And that is a huge concern, because it'll take the government many months. Probably, like as I said, it's given them till October to respond to these recommendations, and now we have to wait and see what their response actually is. And what does full and fair mean? Is it full and fair what the claimant believes it is? Is it full and fair what their independent assessors look at it? You get a forensic expert, you get a medical expert who are independent of government that come to put the claims together to show the total amount. Is that what full and fair is? It just needs to be someone that is not the post office, that is not the government, somebody independent of that, and someone that doesn't have any their hands tied behind their back. I don't question the integrity of the independent panels and the highly respected judges, but if they're following a terms of reference or guiding principles that the government has set before them, then they're operating with their hands tied behind their back. They need to be given the power of discretion so that they can deliver what they believe is full and fair. We've lost too many people along the way. As the Sunday Times reported the other day, we lost 350 people. They reported just last year in February that it was 250, so we've lost 100 people in just over a year. And it's now time that those people obviously are, for their family members, that they're obviously able to see accountability, justice and redress. But I think you can't get closure until people are held accountable for their actions. But at the same time, that is so slow, as I mentioned earlier on. The Met has said that they're going to be 2027, 2028 before they will look at prosecutions. So what we need to do in the meantime is get this redress paid out to people, get it as full and fair as what has been promised, and allow people the opportunity to try and rebuild their lives while that accountability process takes place. How can I recommend someone to go into a business that hasn't addressed the wrongs of the past? And as I spoke with the current chairman of the post office earlier on today, that obviously their job is to put the post office right for the current postmasters that are in the business. But you can't do that until the problems of the past are fully redressed, because there's no trust. They promise that they're going to do one thing and do it. I understand that the post office may be restricted by the restrictions that government put on them. But this is why the call is for the government to do the right thing, bring the scandal to an end, give people the redress, hold those responsible to account, and give the post office itself the opportunity to rebuild itself, so that the current postmasters of today can hopefully have at least an opportunity to thrive like we were before we were prosecuted by the post office. Obviously the post office will always have this stigma, and that's a huge problem. But once the past issues are resolved and people like that have been fully compensated, hopefully the post office can start that process of rebuilding trust with their communities, with their postmasters. But that also needs input from government, because postmasters are not fairly remunerated for the work that they do. Compared to what we were back then, the remuneration has dropped considerably. The government needs to decide: is it a private business, as the kind of set out as it has to be independent and profitable, or is it a public service? It can't be both. So that question needs to be asked, and ask the people what they want, which I think the government's published a green paper to get that kind of input. And hopefully, like I said, the post office is a public service. It's there to be on the high street of communities, act as a bank, take on mail, all these other services. And obviously, hopefully then it can thrive if the government, puts the investment in that it needs.
Emotional, very emotional. It's just like even like reading about it, like what we've been through it. We've been through it, but when you read about it, it just brings back the old memories. It's definitely going in the right direction. When we started the fight, we didn't expect it to take that long. We thought we knew we were fighting authorities. It'll take some time, but we didn't expect it this long. And even this is just a beginning. We have one report, and I'm so looking forward for the next report as well. I know, we lost so many people. Even out of 555, we lost 100 people already, nearly 100 people. It's just we're fighting against time. It is like it need to be sorted sooner rather than later. We're losing more and more people. The government should do something about it. Get it sorted soon. I know, I came to know after my trial that they knew they had all the documents and everything. They could have stopped my trial and got it sorted, but they decided not to. So it shows that what we have to deal with it. Like when we were fighting as an individual, what we have to deal with it. So I'm not a lawyer, by on its own it's a crime anyway, withholding information.